What do we want to do to be healthy? What do we want to do to manage our weights? What do we want to do to not gain weight? We don't want to eat the high sugar foods, items over 4 grams of sugar. You run into the store, you don't know how many people say, Garden of Flavor, pure joy juice, raw, never heated, never pasteurized. 28 grams of sugar. So we're going to count 28 grams of sugar, each teaspoon. So we're dividing it by 4. This has 7 teaspoons of sugar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's a cup and a half of coffee. Not really, but we're pretending it is. Would you put 7 of these in a cup of coffee? No. If you saw your neighbor or your colleague put 7 of these in that cup of coffee, you'd say, God, there's something wrong with them. But if you saw them drink this, what will most people say? Oh, God, they're so healthy, right? This is a healthy choice. But remember, healthy is not a definition. Healthy is a vague word that people bandy around that has absolutely no meaning because there's no legal or cultural definition. 9 out of 10 people, if we walk around the corner, will say, this is really healthy. It's juice. But of course, what's the first juice? Organic pineapple juice, high glycemic fruit. What does high glycemic means? It raises your blood sugar quickly. This has 55 grams of carbohydrates, more carbohydrates than this potato. Now let me ask you, what would be more satisfying, eating this potato or drinking this crummy juice? Potato. Right? Okay, so we're reviewing sugar. Again, as we recall, you want to avoid products over 4 grams of sugar. That means if you put this in a cup of tea, we're not even counting it. We're counting more than this. So people think, oh, this is a lot. This is nothing. This is a lot. Here's another one, and I'm just going to review a few of these. Organic green iced tea, 20 grams of sugar. So this only has 5 packets, 2, 4, 5, right? And third, PB&J, right? Strawberry-filled peanut butter snacks. Do you think there's a strawberry in here? There hasn't been a strawberry in here for, probably 6 months to 2 years. Trying to see if I can find the expiration date. So, first of all, let's open this. Let's actually do a test. Oh, God. I hadn't actually opened it. All right. So we'll just put a few of them out. They look kind of disgusting. PB&J bites. But in this bag, you have 5 servings. Now tell me, is the average person going to take this and divide it into 5 servings? Absolutely not. So it has essentially 8 grams of sugar per serving. 8 times 5 is 40. This bag has 10 teaspoons of sugar. That would be a waste, wouldn't it? 5 and another 5. So people think of sugar as cake, candy, ice cream. These are really unhealthy foods. But PB&J bites, it's got protein, right? Peanut butter has protein. So how much protein does this have? It has 3 grams. That's very close to 0. 4 ounces of turkey has 22. That's just ridiculous. Okay. So the first thing in managing your health, what do I mean by managing your health? Right? What does it mean to manage one's health? It means you want to have good energy. It means you want to be able to think today and keep thinking into the future. You want to have good endurance. You want to not be hungry all day. You want to not have cravings, and you want to be able to function, get everything done, not have a 2-hour slump either in the mid-morning or in the mid-afternoon. So you have one of these. You have some rice and vegetables, brown rice, very healthy, right? We're going to talk about that later when we do starches or double starches and what's going to happen. As you know, everyone here who's been, I see a lot of old familiar faces. It's going to raise your blood sugar quickly. In this time, you're going to be happy, right? You feel better. What happens here? Too big a fire. So your pancreas, which has to deal with this, has to secrete more insulin quickly. And here, how do you feel? Tired, irritable, can't concentrate, cranky. I mean, no one here I know ever feels that way, but we're talking about the other people. And then what do you want? You're going down the elevator too quickly. You want something else to bring this back up again. So the problem with sweets is the more you eat them, the more you want them. Here's another one. One bar. Most people will run out and look at oat and quinoa, only 100 calories. This is a weight management food. I won't gain weight with this. And it has some kind of protein probably. But what are the facts? The facts is it has 8 grams of sugar and 1 gram of protein. This is going to make you hungrier because although the apple actually has the same amount of carbohydrates as this bar, the apple will act in your body very differently. Just so you know, there's literature over there, and the only thing that we ask is you're not walking in the middle of the room. Okay, so the apple will have the same number, but it'll go like this. Okay? I should do that in red. So it'll go like this. And therefore, you won't have that. Too big a fire means you need too much of the fire department to secrete that insulin. Now, what happens when your pancreas secretes too much insulin or secretes more insulin? The good thing, we're assuming your body still can do that. It's not broken. You're not insulin resistant. But the problem is that insulin is a hormone that your body produces that converts calories to fat quickly. And where does it do it? Right around the middle, the tire, the unhealthy part for your heart, for your glucose level, for your health. Now someone says, but I love ice cream, or I love chocolate cheesecake, or, oh, I go to great restaurants. I hear this all the time. I love food. And most of the people who say I love food, and I look at one of their logs, they're not eating great food. They're eating convenience food. Why did you eat a granola bar for lunch? Because I was busy and I didn't have time to get anything else. Okay? So let's hear, some of you have been here a while. How is it going in essentially working on staying away from high sugar items? Not just the obvious cake, candy, cookies, but all these hidden things. Well, hard, somewhere in between?
Hard.
Difficult. Okay, what's difficult? Give me a specific challenge.
Trying to find something that is in a box that has less than 4 grams of sugar or whatever.
In a box for what?
Like that comes in a box, like that. Everything that comes in a box seems to have lots of sugar in
Right, because you know what it's called?
it. Preservative.
Manufactured. This is not real food. This is in a factory made. Now, when you say in a box, is it a snack? Is it that you're hungry? Have you had lunch? Or is this lunch?
That's probably a snack.
Okay, all right.
Or like you said, trying to find the convenience food. I mean, something, fast and quick.
For a meal? For a snack?
For a snack.
Okay, so I'm gonna do that later, okay, because I do have some, okay. What about desserts, parties, social engagements, your kids, your parents, etc.? Going out to dinner, everybody shares. I think that's another point of challenge. Okay, so one challenge is what do I find? The second thing, so again, when you have that insulin, the calories convert to fat quickly. And then it's much easier. People always think of gaining weight. I gained weight, I lose weight. But what's really critical is you've increased your percentage of body fat. I'm gonna have to learn to write clearer. And fat is metabolically slow. That's why all those people here who work out. And muscle is 3 times faster. Okay, so it burns new calories. So you eat something sweet, those calories convert to fat. The next day, you consume new calories. Those calories burn at a slower rate than if you hadn't had that. Is that clear? That's why if a person gains 5 pounds, it's easy to gain 10 pounds. You gain 10 pounds, it's easy to gain 20 pounds. Not that you're eating more, that you're caught in this cycle. Okay? Same thing with energy. You eat something sweet, your energy goes up, your energy goes down. When your energy goes down and you have 10 things to do, there's only one thing you can do then. Get something else quickly to give you another energy boost. What is our goal? To break that cycle, okay? Now we're gonna talk about double starches as opposed to single starches. So I went to the grocery store over the weekend and I said, let's look at this. It's gonna be Thanksgiving soon. Here's a sweet potato, right? I would say here's a football. So this sweet potato, everything was measured, is 1 pound, 0.8, or 460 calories and 104 carbohydrates. 2 pieces of bread should be around 30, 35. Okay, so this is over 6 pieces of bread. Clear? Now, would you really cut it in 6? One way to deal with sweet potatoes is you slice them, put a little olive oil, put a little cinnamon, and then you have a couple of slices and you've kept it not a double starch. Agreed? Then we have a potato. So this potato at 10 ounces has 217 calories or 49. Anything over 38 is too many carbs at one meal. So if you had half of this, you'd be fine. We're pulling down the portion size because portion sizes have gone up. Okay, then we have these 2 potatoes at 150 calories and 36. So if you had one of them, they're not quite equivalent. How many people would feel deprived with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so you need more vegetables or an in-home chef. Okay, so going on about double carbs. Here we have Nature's Path organic cereal. I have no financial interest in this, unfortunately. So this product, per 3/4 of a cup, which I have measured before everyone came, has 4 grams of sugar and 23 grams of carbohydrate. And I put it in a nice modern bowl that I bought recently. How bad does it look? Like they'd see either this is the stingiest person I ever know, or they're really broke and they can't afford more, right? Your spouse, your kids would say, Mommy, what's wrong here, okay?
Jana, can you tilt it towards the camera?
Okay, look towards the camera, okay.
No, the bowl, tilt the bowl.
The bowl, okay, here's the bowl. I'll turn it over later. It has cereal in it. Can you see the cereal?
It
Yes.
doesn't look like much.
It's not in that bowl. Now we're going, I have 3 dishes. I have a modern dish. I have a dish from, let me do the math. I have a dish from about 40 years ago. How does that look? Not too bad. And then I have my mother's dish from many decades ago. And how is it there? It's full. Okay, does everyone see the difference? You can serve this with fruit and milk and nobody's gonna scream, right? They're gonna say, I got a bowl of cereal. You serve this and they say, what's wrong with you? Does everyone get this basic concept? Because if you get this, you don't have to buy any more diet books. You don't have to read the Washington Post, what's healthy this week, because this is the most important piece. Normal portion sizes, not, oh, poor me, I have to eat a small amount, what's wrong with me? Culturally, I'll move this somewhere else so we can look at all 3 bowls. Culturally, everything has gotten larger. A, antique, not that antique, but antique enough. B, 30 years ago. And C, modern. Okay? So double starches, anything over about 38 or 40 grams of carbohydrate in one sitting is a double. So let's do a double and see how that looks. So we take 3/4 and we take another 3/4 in the big bowl. I'll take a drop more because I didn't fill it up all the way. And it still ain't very much, is it? So you need 3 of these to make a serving here versus 1. So someone says, I eat cereal every morning. This is really healthy. 4 grams of sugar, 12 grams of sugar, same product. It takes a mental stand in your own mind like, hey, I know everything is this way and I'm not going down the unhealthy road. Because trust me, I see the road. I've had enough experience. People don't feel so good. They don't feel they look their best. Not that important. Give it 10, 20 years. You're spending all your time and money at the doctors. So if you want to support the cardiologist, go right ahead. Okay, what is this? A bagel?
3 bagels.
3 bagels, 400 calories. This is a bagel at Whole Foods, which everything at Whole Foods is healthy, right? We all agree upon that. So I couldn't find a quote traditional bagel. As a New Yorker, a traditional bagel was 160 calories. This is close to 400 calories. Therefore, it's not the same thing. Clear?
Why is it different?
It's just too much flour. This has 5 ounces. A bagel had 2 ounces. So it's 2.5 times. It's not that the ingredients are worse. It's the volume that's worse because we're not designed to eat this much. Human beings never had this much food. Except now. Okay? Then I wanted to do the final test with rice. And I bought brown rice and I measured a cup. On this plate, it looks okay, doesn't it? It's kind of fine. You put a little chicken or fish or anything on this plate. So we'll move this in here and we'll redo it. That's a whole cup of rice, which is about 40 grams. So let's say we use less. Let's say we even use the whole thing. Let's go all out. Same thing, right? So thin by design means you create your home environment to support your food. You don't say, I'm gonna have a bowl like this and be full, because that'll never happen, because your brain will say, there's something wrong in that equation. Here it is here. There's hardly even room for vegetables or for protein. You put it here, which is sort of the happy medium, okay? Is everyone clear? And how do you get the double starches? You go out, you have bread, you have chicken, you have broccoli, and you have rice, and you have potatoes. You have pasta, which we did that demonstration last time. It's always a double. You have noodle soup and rice. You have bean soup and couscous, because beans and lentils are healthy, but they are starches. They're healthy starches with some protein, so you simply have to count it. So by eliminating sweets and eliminating double starches, you're gonna have more energy. Because although you're not gonna get the highs, you're not gonna get the lows, okay? So then the question is, what can I use for a snack? How many other people had that question about snacking? How is this? How many people have tried the skinny popcorn?
Good, it's good.
And you know what I like about it? It's what I call a boundary food. It has a boundary. You can buy 100-calorie popcorn, 100-calorie pretzels, 100-calorie crackers. I wouldn't recommend either 100-calorie cookies or 100-calorie chips because of the ingredients. But boundary foods always work. How many people have tried as an alternative to crackers, although these usually don't come in individual sizes, which is what I don't like about the Parmesan crisps? Have people tried Parmesan crisps?
Yeah, and salad.
You know, if you break it up, we can pass these around for anyone who hasn't had it. I'm gonna just break it into smaller pieces, which have no carbohydrates, and they're not bad as a little snack, because you get a little crunch here. We don't have that many people. And if you tasted it, just pass. So would you say people, when they say they want snack food, they want crunch? In general. 100-calorie bag of nuts, not a half a cup of nuts, 500 calories. People
500.
500. Nuts are what? An ounce of nuts, 1 ounce of nuts are 170 calories. Most nuts at 3.5 ounces have over 50 grams of fat. That's another food people call healthy. It's healthy, but needs to be managed in terms of the portion size. Okay? Are people seeing where some of the pitfalls are? See, everyone knows ice cream probably isn't your best bet. The key is not the ice cream, the key is everything else. Okay. So, how does one break this easy self-defeating cycle in a culture which this is what is produced and this is what is consumed? Clearly, so you haven't put in a demonstration kitchen yet. That'll be the next upgrade. Okay, it's protein. And of course you want to go for the leaner proteins. That doesn't mean the no fat proteins. Fish. Now, what's the problem with fish? You have to buy it, you have to cook it, and it doesn't last long. Seafood. You can buy frozen shrimp. It's half the price and it stays. Turkey burger. If I'm making lunches, I'll make 4 turkey burgers in a pan, and then I'll put them in a little pita for lunch and have them for a couple days. You want to keep it easy. You can buy you don't want to cook, you buy a rotisserie chicken. I mean, you're right. What I do believe, this is very old-fashioned, that the way to be healthy is someone in the house, whatever house you have, has to cook at least some of the time. And since cooking has gone down in American life and takeout has gone up, how has our health gone? Down. Now people work hard, people commute, no one has time. So the key is to find how to do it quick and easy on the weekend or during the week. I don't know if I said this, but about 2 years ago, my stove broke. I had no way to cook. I didn't want takeout. They were going to change from electric to gas. And I said, what am I going to do? Believe it or not, I bought a panini press. And on a basic panini press, you can cook anything. You can cook a steak. You can cook a piece of salmon. You can cook a piece of chicken. And the thing is, the nice thing about it, because sometimes I'll do it in the summer when I don't want my kitchen to get too hot, is you cook it in 5 minutes because you have the heat coming and flattening it on both sides. So when your brain says, oh, this is so hard, oh, this takes so much time, you have to ignore that and say, yeah, if I made a homemade sauce, but that's not what I think of when I think of cooking. I'm thinking of, I am a short order cook. I'm diner food, good diner food. 1, 2, 3, it's ready. I put that piece of chicken on the panini press and not even 10 minutes, 7 minutes later, it's ready. The swordfish, anything. But without protein, you're in trouble. And then we're going to talk about the grocery list, okay? Without protein, you're in trouble. So, some red meat. Now, is meat higher in fat? Yeah. but some of it is fine. As long as you're not eating it every day, you have it 1-2 times a week. Or you have a leaner cut of meat. You have a lean pork loin, which is lower fat. Eggs, lower fat cheese. Nothing wrong with eggs for dinner. You come home, you're late, you're running to the movies, scramble some eggs, throw some veggies, throw some low-fat cheese. There it is, or make it over with a little tomato sauce and cheese. It's kind of pizza-like. Be creative.
Low-fat, cottage cheese, like low-fat cheese.
Cottage cheese is a low-fat, even full-fat cottage cheese is a low-fat cheese. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just repeating what you said. I thought it was funny. Full fat cottage cheese.
Is a low-fat compared to hard cheese, yes. And most people with cottage cheese buy 1 or 2%. I am not a fan of no-fat items because what are no-fat items like? No what? No taste. Low, you know, and a couple years ago when everything moved to no fat, people gained weight. So no fat is out. But too much butter also has to be out. You know, we tend to be extremists. I don't eat fat or I eat all the fat I want. Okay. So what we're talking about is the balance of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. And having a meal with the protein, having a meal with some carbohydrate, and limiting the fat. Now, next, let's go into a grocery list, which we have here. Everyone see the grocery list? Because my producer, that's you, Arlene. My producer said people want this in a practical way. So I did a grocery list so nobody has to think when they go to the grocery store. Main thing about fruits is you want fruits from lots of different colors that have different nutrients. The blueberries, antioxidants, tomatoes, lycopene, broccoli, anti-inflammatory benefit. And then we have all the fruits and vegetables listed here. The cruciferous vegetables, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, great anti-cancer foods. Take out the toxins in your system. Then your dark greens, kale, greens, spinach, iron, terrific for you. Then you have the building blocks of cells. Proteins are the building blocks of cells, necessary for repair. Protein is your long-acting fuel. It's the opposite of the carbohydrates and the sweets. The carbohydrates and the sweets are your short-acting energy. They raise, coming in, they raise your blood sugar quickly, but they also cause it to fall quickly several hours later. So what's the antidote? When people come to me and they say, Janet, I crave sweets all the time. What's the antidote to that? The antidote is to eat enough protein. Because when people say, oh, I'm watching my weight, I said, well, how many ounces of turkey did you have? And they say, oh, I have 2 thin little slices because I'm watching my calories. Yeah, that's a recipe for failure. So let's put that up. Protein is the antidote to sweets and double starches. Okay, question, yes.
So you have said in the past to have 4 ounces of protein for lunch. Can you have more?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say at least 4.
Okay. Because like I had 4 ounces of protein today. I had a cup of broccoli and about a half a cup of mashed potatoes. I'm still hungry.
Okay, then I'd have some fruit and mix a little yogurt in it afterwards. Okay. Or have a low-fat string cheese with a piece of fruit. We're gonna have a food plan at the end. Okay, dairy, the third category. The key with dairy is keeping it to the lower fat, not the 1 or 2%. Milk, cottage cheese, yogurt. How many people have tried kefir, K-E-F-I-R? Kefir is like yogurt. It's more of a liquid, but you know how yogurt has sort of a sour aftertaste, plain yogurt? Kefir does not. Okay? So try the plain kefir. I happen to, again, like the brand Wallaby. Don't ask me why, I just think it's tastier. You can try any brand, that's the one I like. So,
Where does one find this kefir?
in the dairy section of a supermarket. Any supermarket would have it.
You don't recommend skim milk?
Skim milk, I don't think holds you. I think you're much better off with 1% milk. Skim milk, it's too much sugar. It's the same sugar as any other milk with no fat to balance it. Therefore, it's more likely to make you hungrier later on in the day. Okay? So that's what I say. So Laughing Cow cheese, any of your 50% fat reduced cheese, which there are lots of. And then you have your complex carbohydrates. So remember, all your complex carbohydrates are starches. You want, though, more of the complex. So is brown rice better than white rice? Absolutely. Because the brown rice has the fiber, has the B complex. But that doesn't mean that it's a free food. So people say, well, why am I not feeling well? Why am I gaining weight? I just eat whole wheat pasta and brown rice. I would never eat refined white carbohydrates. That's great. That's one step. But volume counts. Okay? So yes, when you eat whole grain products, quinoa, couscous, lentils, any of your beans, black beans, kidney beans, navy beans, chickpeas, that's much better than white rice, white pasta, white bread, but it still is a carbohydrate. And although it won't raise your blood sugar quite as much, it's something you have to manage the total volume. Okay, so going through the list, we have real oatmeal, I didn't bring that, low sugar cereals, this one is low, so it's all about not what the advertisement says, but reading the label, brown rice, quinoa, beans, chickpeas, whole wheat pasta, and sweet potato. But this is not a sweet potato. This is really for sweet potatoes. Okay? Or a football that you could play over Thanksgiving weekend, right? Okay. The fourth category, or the fifth category, actually, are the dietary fats. And as we reviewed last time, for those of you who looked at the earlier presentations, all fats are not the same. Now, most people say, oh, I'm watching my cholesterol, or I don't want my cholesterol to rise, therefore I don't eat anything with cholesterol. But the interesting piece is that what raises a person's cholesterol isn't the, quote, cholesterol in the food, it's the saturated fat in the food. And unfortunately, saturated fats are highest in your whole fat dairy products, which, sad to say, because I love them myself, are very yummy. Full fat cheese, full fat meats, full fat yogurts. But if you get the 2%, not the 0, it's still going to have taste to it. So you want to buy the 2%. Believe me, if you have this cereal in a smaller bowl and you use 1 or 2% milk and you put some blueberries, you're going to be okay. All right? Olive oil, canola oil contain more monounsaturated fats, which help keep your cholesterol down and the good cholesterol up. Foods that are processed and made with, quote, partially hydrogenated fat, which is essentially manufactured products. Probably, let's see if this one has it. Okay, I'm just going to read the ingredients in this. Granola. What's in this granola? Whole rolled oats, sugar, canola and or soybean oil, molasses, sodium bicarbonate, soy lecithin, corn syrup, yogurt flavored coating, sugar, palm kernel oil, anything that has that much stuff. I mean, it's like 6 lines of chemicals. If you don't know what the word means, put it back. 2 emulsifiers. I'm sure, I've never been to one of these, but I'm sure if you went to the factory and saw this manufactured, you'd never buy it again. It would lose all its allure of the packaging. So, olive oil, canola oil. You could even use a little sesame oil. You even can use a little bit of butter if you're spreading, because I don't recommend margarine. If you're spreading, get the whipped butter. How many people here have tried the whipped butter? What's great about the whipped butter, it's butter, it's not margarine, it has better taste, it's just a little bit lighter, therefore it spreads more easily. And if you use it in defined portions, your food will have taste. Okay? Could you hand me the copy of the food plan? I realize I must have put it away. Thank you. Okay. So how does this look as a grocery list? Will this make it easy for people not to have to think? We all think too much at work, no thinking in the evenings or on the weekends? Okay. Now this food plan is a generalized food plan. It's not designed for any one specific. The only aggregate comment I have is, in general, women need to be more careful with their carbohydrates, particularly in the evening. But let's start with breakfast. So if you had, because again, depending on your age, depending on male or female, depending on how much you weigh, you need to have a different level of calories. But this is a structure of protein, complex carbohydrates, lower fat dairy, and more monounsaturated rather than saturated fats, and not foods made from partially hydrogenated fats, i.e. things in boxes. These don't have it, but you know what I'm talking about. So if you had 1 to 1.5 cups of oatmeal with some almonds, you notice I have an amount, and low-fat or unsweetened almond milk if you're lactose intolerant, great meal. Or eggs, scrambled, poached, boiled. You add some vegetables, 1 to 2 pieces of toast, a little bit of whipped butter. Same thing with cold cereal, or Canadian bacon, or chicken sausages, extra protein with an egg and some toast. How does that seem in a practical way for people for breakfast? Now, what do people say to me? Because trust me, I've done this long enough. I've heard every story. I've heard every excuse. I've heard every problem. I can't deal with an egg. It's too much time in the morning. Okay, that's true for a lot of people. Too much to do. You can boil an egg on the weekend and leave it in your refrigerator. You can get something when you come into town to beat the traffic. You're hungry in the mid-morning. Have an apple for 75 calories and 19 grams of carbohydrate, not one for 36. Now, are these someone says, I eat 2 apples a day. Someone says, I eat 2 apples a day. Are they the same thing? No, because this one has 36 grams of carbohydrates and this has 19. This is 2 apples. Now, if you're going in the grocery store, what do you think they're more of? These apples or these apples? This is what you have. So you actually have to look and make an effort to be appropriate. I don't want to use the word normal because that could be determined as a judgment. So you want to get traditional, old-fashioned size of food rather than modern supersized food. You can eat 2 apples, great. 4 apples, that's a lot. Okay? Here's my other demonstration. I couldn't even really find that. Here's a pear. It's kind of like a baseball. It's actually bigger than a baseball. 40 grams of carbohydrates. Almost as much as your potato. Why? Because it's a double. So everything has become a double or a triple. And then we have to find a way around it. I brought in those baked apples last year, did I not?
Yes.
Okay, so you take an apple like this, you core it, you put a little bit. How many people tried the baked apple recipe? Only one? Okay, how did it work out?
Good. I got the apples from Pennsylvania. Didn't add anything.
Okay.
A little drop of apple juice to keep.
Right, and how did it turn out?
We enjoyed it. We're still
Delicious. It's delicious, and apples, but you do this as an apple. And then if you say you get hungry later in the day, you combine it with some protein, because again, protein is the antidote. If you're hungry and you eat this bagel, yeah, you'll be full. You'll be full for about an hour and a half. And what's going to happen after the hour and a half? After the hour and a half, you're going to be more hungry. Okay, everybody's clear? You drink this, you're going to be starving 2 hours later. You eat this, it's like, oh my God, I can't think, I can't concentrate, what am I going to do? You have this, and you have a little cheese stick or a laughing cow or a slice of something, you're going to be fine. Okay, are people getting the point? Okay. Now, then people talk, I need healthy fats. You know, I haven't seen anyone in my practice who is dying from not enough fat in their diet. People always say it like, oh God, what if I'm not getting enough fat? Like, oh, I don't have enough avocado. Oh, I'm not eating enough nuts. I don't know how this has moved into our culture, but it has. So there are very few people in the day-to-day American life that are not getting enough fat. People are not getting enough nutrients, but they're rarely not getting enough fat, because if you're eating fast food, you could have no nutrients and all fat. Remember, nutrients and calories are not the same. You can be undernourished and overfed. Everyone gets that? Undernourished and overfed. Too many calories, not enough nutrients. Yes, avocado, olives, nuts, nut butters, but it's not a free food, because 2 tablespoons of nut butters have 17 grams of fat or 200 calories. Now, it's not bad. It's not low. You just have to put it into your plan in a realistic way. If you have 2 tablespoons of something with an apple and that holds you, great. But if you do that 3 times a day when you make your kids peanut butter and jelly sandwich, then you're going to be in trouble. And measuring is key. That's why I love these little things. You actually know, not is it small, medium, or large, but what is it in reality? Just like this is actually 12 ounces, which is 1.5 cups. And most places that's called small. Okay, so going on with meal planning. Now, do you think this will help you as you go home to have something easy, not to have to think? So 1 lunch is a salad, at least 4 ounces of protein, and either 3/4 of a cup of starch or 1 to 2 slices of bread. In general, I would say for weight loss or even weight management, women have to be a little more careful, not in the size of the protein, not in the size of the vegetables, but in the side of the carbohydrates. So for women, I'd probably say closer to 1 slice of bread or a basic sandwich, 4 ounces of a liter, protein, bread, tomato. You can use a little light mayonnaise or avocado or a slice of cheese. What you don't want to do is avocado, cheese, and bacon. And then it goes up to 700 calories for that. Then you have a salad, then you have vinaigrette. So you're getting a little bit of fat, you're getting some fiber, it'll help cut down the hunger. Or you do a vegetarian meal, 1.5 cups of vegetarian chili, put a lot of mushrooms or onions, real tomatoes, a little bit of low-fat cheese and a side salad. Vegetarians, vegans, stir-fry tofu, vegetables, some brown rice, or a basic American hamburger, turkey burger, salmon burger, crab cake on a roll, salad, vinaigrette. How does that sound for lunches? Workable? Okay. I think, as everyone agrees, the hardest part is that midday snack, right? Individual, the first number is the most important part, the 100 calories, popcorn, pretzels, almond, or fruit, a piece of fruit. This you share with your neighbor because this is 2 pieces of fruit, low-fat string cheese. This is to feel it. You can pass it around. I'm not going to eat it. String cheese, yogurt, cottage cheese. And again, it doesn't have to be fat-free, which is tasteless, or a cup of low-fat soup. Now, someone says, I'm running, I need a bar. I personally like the Think Thin bars because they don't have a lot of sugar. But bars are for emergencies, not for meal substitutes. Yeah, if you're on an airplane or you're traveling, and you always want to try to get as much real food as possible and less processed food. Then dinner, the key in the dinner is to load up on the protein, 5 to 8 ounces of your fish or seafood. And again, I put how many times a week. You want to emphasize the fish because the fish has the omega-3 fatty acids, particularly salmon, swordfish, tuna, although tuna you have to be careful because of mercury, but those are brain foods. Without the omega-3, your brain won't work. Then you do the leaner chicken, take the skin off, pork, some red meat, and a vegetarian meal. Non-starchy vegetables, different colors, different nutrients, different textures. There's a difference between eggplant, tomato, mushrooms, zucchini. You have a wide variety, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of garlic, a drop of salt is all yummy. People say, oh, salt's gonna raise my blood pressure. No, eating too much is gonna raise your blood pressure. And the highest sodium food is commercial soups, which have per cup, that's 2 of these halves, or 1 of these, have 1,000 milligrams of sodium. That's where you really get sodium, not putting a little salt and garlic on your spinach or greens, okay? And then you still have a serving of starch at dinner. But again, the serving of starch at dinner should be the lowest piece of the equation because you're not doing as much. Starch is for burning. You're running, you're working, you're traveling, you're moving. You need starch. You're coming down in the day, you're making dinner, you're doing this, that, or the other. You don't have that much physically to do, so you don't need as many carbohydrates. And then dessert, or what it really is, everyone wants a treat. Everyone wants a reward for a hard day's work or a hard day in general. And you make the fruit interesting. You poach a pear, you bake an apple, you make a fruit compote. Some people don't eat any artificial sweeteners, some do, so I just put in that. The no sugar jello or the no sugar jello pudding. Then you have fruit. How many people have tried something called PB2? I'll have to bring that next time. PB2 is a product where they have taken peanut butter, gotten most of the fat out and left the essence of peanut butter. It's a powder. You mix it with a little water, and the truth is it sounds horrible, but it doesn't taste bad.
Yes.
So we'll do a taste test next time. Okay. So, you know, in most areas, if someone says, I want to improve my tennis, and I say, okay, hold the racket this way, not that way, people say, okay, that's what I'm going to do. But in the arena of food, there's something much harder because food is wrapped with our families as a child. What my mother made that I remember, you know, if every time you scraped your knee, your mom baked chocolate chip cookies, when something bad happens or something aggravating happens, you're going to want those chocolate chip cookies, right? It's our heritage. It's our history. It's what makes us happy. It's traditional, or it's easy and it simply makes me feel good. And so to be healthy, to be strong, you have to know that's all part of your makeup, but it has to be in a much smaller box. It can't be consuming all the time. I mean, yes, maybe if you've had a really bad day, you have a chocolate chip cookie. But what's a really bad day? Someone get in front of you in the car or something really super aggravating. And the truth is, even super aggravating, as I say to the people, my clients, does really a cookie make that problem better? Or does that make that problem worse? Because if you're not as well, you have less strength and endurance and focus to deal with the actual challenge. So I've spoken a lot, and I want this to be interactive. What do people see as they move through this month? Where are we? And have to get through Halloween, our first. Here are the holidays: Halloween, Thanksgiving, the month of Christmas, and what's the Christmas, New Year's? What's the next one in January? What's the big thing in January? Come on, guys, you know the answer.
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl. Like,
That's February.
everyone who eats is a football player. They've got to have, you know, I've actually worked with football players. They eat like 12,000 calories a day. If they eat 3, they're going to lose 5 pounds. But the people at home watching that TV are not playing in that way. So what are some things, which is our questionnaire for results, for the 4th question? How are we going to get back on track after a bad day? And what is my final question, what are you willing to do differently? One thing, choose in your mind, and even write it on this. I'd love for you to email this, leave it here. It's not a hard questionnaire to answer. I'm not going to put it on YouTube. What is one challenge you want to engage in, so that in January 1, you won't be saying, oh God, I've eaten so poorly the holidays. You know, for a lot of moms in particular, since I am a mom and I've been a mom of a young kid, when does the holidays begin? The week before Halloween. Because you buy that candy, and I've spoken to a lot of women who've eaten it before they've driven home, and then they have to replace it because they don't want anyone to know they ate half a bag of M&Ms. It, quote, didn't belong to them. That was for the trick-or-treaters. A lot of men too, see? It's a non-discriminatory eating practice. Okay, but what I want to challenge everyone, choose one thing. I'm going to do this differently. I'm going to mentally break through my everyday always pattern, because we all do what we do without thinking. And I'm going to do something different because my goal is to be stronger, to be lean, to be fit, to be healthy. My goal is not to be diabetic, to have poor memory, and to have cardiovascular disease, to have no knees and low energy and not walk, right? Nobody says that's what they want to do, but people's actions put them in that role. Now, when I say it, everyone says, oh God, that's totally insane, right? But sadly, it's the easy road. So let's all choose one place of a hard road, and I'm going to work at improving. I'm not going to work at being perfect because I accept that I won't be perfect, but I'm going to work at improving. Again, as part of the program that Gryphon is doing for everyone, any questions, concerns, email me at my address, zalmannutrition.com. I got to get the whole one because I have 2 of them. The one you had last time, nutrition.com, and I will get back to you. Okay? I hope I'm inspiring you to take charge in an out-of-control world. Part of these problems are not personal. It's cultural. When we all ate this, there were no health problems. When we all eat this, we're in big trouble. And you know what happens when we all eat this 20 years from now? We're going to be the thing everyone doesn't want, broke. Why are we going to be broke? Because this is unaffordable. This is unaffordable in our healthcare system. Agreed? So you can take a stand and not go down that road and have a lot more fun. More fun, not the expensive, bad scenario. Thank you for coming. Encourage your colleagues to and I'll see you all in a month. There's a sign-up sheet, sign your name. I'll send you notes, I'll send you a note during the month. I'll keep you encouraged. I want everyone to feel I've done one thing successfully. Thank you all for coming and being involved in taking charge of your own health and nutritional status. Thank you for having
Thanks,
me.
Janet.